Good come out of Nazareth? Philip said to him, "Come and see." Jesus saw Nathanael coming toward him and said to him, "Behold, an Israelite indeed, in whom is no deceit." Nathanael said to him, "How do you know me?" Jesus answered and said to him, "Before Philip called you, when you were under the fig tree, I saw you." Nathanael answered and said to him, "Rabbi, you are the Son of God. You are the King of Israel." Jesus answered and said to him, "Because I said to you, I saw you under the fig tree, do you believe? You will see greater things than these." And he said to him, "Most assuredly I say to you, hereafter you shall see heaven open, and the angels of God ascending and descending upon the Son of Man." Please be seated.
It's a beautiful day, and we're thankful for the presence of each one. We're blessed to have a number of visitors, and we're thankful that you've come our way, and whatever has brought you to Sarasota or to the South Trail congregation this morning, we're just thrilled that you're here. We hope that you'll come back, worship with us again and again at every opportunity. Yesterday, we had the opportunity to honor one of our sisters who passed away this summer, Bertie Hutter. And I just want to thank everyone that participated not only in that memorial service, but also in helping with the meal afterwards. And a number of Bertie's family are here with us today, and we're glad that they're able to be here and worship with us this morning. You have your bulletins, open up there on the inside cover and inside of the front page. There's an outline that might be helpful as we go through our lesson today. And we're going to begin a short series, probably 3 weeks, on the compliments of Jesus. I believe all of us enjoy compliments. I heard about a little boy, came home from church one Sunday, and he had an ice cream cone. His mother said, "Well, where did you get that ice cream cone? Who gave you the money?" He said, "Well, I used the money that you gave me to give at church." And she was appalled. She said, "Well, why didn't you give it?" He said, "It's okay. The preacher met me at the door and got me in for free." Sometimes it doesn't all connect, all right? Understand, we all need compliments. Mark Twain said, "I can live for 2 months on one good compliment." Robert Orban said that a compliment is verbal sunshine. Mike Dolan said, "If you pay in compliments, you will always be wealthy." Abraham Lincoln said, "Everybody likes a compliment." We need that. Leo Buscaglia said, "Too often we underestimate the power of a touch, a smile, a kind word, a listening ear, an honest compliment, or the smallest act of caring, all of which have the potential to turn a life around." The difference that we make can often be in the way in which we compliment one another. If you look at your outline there, the definition of a compliment is an expression of praise, commendation, or admiration, good wishes, regards, to show kindness, tribute, or honor. It's to give kudos where those kudos are deserved. Jesus gave compliments on several occasions, and I want you to think about some of these compliments. The father of the late composer, conductor, Leonard Bernstein, said on one occasion when he was criticized for not complimenting his son and encouraging him more, he said, "Well, how was I to know that he would grow up to be Leonard Bernstein?" Let me tell you something. Your children are going to grow up, and their potential is realized by the way in which we give them the encouragement that they desperately need. The passage that Joe read for us just a moment ago in John chapter 1 gives us the first example of a compliment that Jesus paid to a disciple named Nathanael. Nathanael is probably in the list of the apostles also known as Bartholomew. That's, again, just an educated guess. But understand that Nathanael is praised. The trait that Jesus compliments was his sincerity. His sincerity. Philip comes to him and he says, we have found him of whom Moses in the law and also the prophets wrote. So in other words, what Philip says is, hey Nathanael, here's the evidence. Nathanael is honest. He's sincere. He's willing to consider that evidence. And so he comes to see Jesus, and Jesus says to him, behold, an Israelite in whom is no deceit. I think the King James says guile. The idea of deceit or guile is crafty or cunning. Someone who is able to deceive someone else by the way that they kind of arrange things. Jacob was like that. Remember Jacob? His name meant heel grabber or supplanter. He was someone who tripped people up. Jacob, there in Genesis 27 and 35, when Esau comes to receive the blessing from his father Isaac, Isaac says, your brother has schemed or deceived to receive the blessing. Understand, Jacob got what was coming to him because when he went and lived with his father-in-law Laban, in Genesis 31 and verse 7, Jacob tells his wives, Leah and Rachel, he says, your father has deceived me and changed my wages 10 times. 10 times. In 20 years, he changed his wages 10 times. Now, that's not a good track record, folks. And if it weren't family, I don't think Jacob would have kept the employment arrangement that he had made. But there was an agreement that he had made for the daughters of Laban. And so Laban was able to take advantage of him over and over again. But what Jacob acknowledges was that God had not allowed Laban to hurt him. God had protected him. David would say in Psalm 32 and verse 2, blessed is the man to whom the Lord does not impute iniquity, and in whose spirit there is no deceit. This is the very thing that was prophesied about Jesus in Isaiah 53 and verse 9, talking about with his grave would be with the wicked, as Jesus died there between two thieves. And in his burial, he would be with the rich. And of course, there it's talking about the tomb that Joseph of Arimathea would provide. But then it says, because he had done no violence, and there was no deceit in his mouth. And this is the very thing that Peter reminds us in 1 Peter 2:22, that there was no deceit in Jesus' mouth. Every word that Jesus spoke was true. And what Philip wanted Nathanael to know was that the testimony of the prophets, all the information pointed that Jesus was the one. And then Jesus tells Nathanael, before Philip called you, when you were under the fig tree. Now you look at some little detail like that, and it's just amazing that Nathanael would say, hey, you must be the Christ, because you knew where I was when Philip came to get me, to come and follow you, to hear about you, to sit at your feet, and to confess you. For Jesus to say, behold, an Israelite in whom there is no deceit. This is a great compliment to the very sincerity of Nathanael, that he was willing to look at the evidence. In Jesus' parable of the soils. Of course, there are the three soils that are not so good, but there's the fourth soil, and as he describes it in Luke 8 and verse 15, he says that there must be that noble and good heart in order to receive the word and let it produce. Let it have its reward. Let it give its crop. And he says it yields 30 and 60 and 100-fold. In James chapter 1, verses 21 and 22, James says, lay aside all filthiness and overflow of wickedness, and receive with meekness the implanted word, which is able to save your souls. And be doers of the word, not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. The importance is that we're able to see the evidence, that we're able to look at all that God wants us to know. In the Old Testament, Moses talked in Deuteronomy 10:16 and Deuteronomy 30 and verse 6 about that the Jews were those who had a circumcision. But it wasn't just the physical circumcision of the foreskin, it was a circumcision of the heart. It was those who were not just Jews, as Paul describes in Romans 2:28 and 29, who were Jews outwardly. Again, because they had had that surgery on their skin. It was those who were Jews inwardly. Those who were willing to receive the Word of God, who were wanted to obey Him and serve Him and love Him with their whole heart, soul, mind, and strength. I want you to think about the way in which we can apply this to ourselves. Look at the application of this compliment that Jesus gives about Nathanael's sincerity. I heard about a guy that came onto a used car lot, and as he drove up, he got out of his car, walked over to the salesman. He said, "Aren't you the guy that sold me this used car?" And the salesman said, "Yes, I think I did." The guy said, "Would you tell me again how great this car is? Because sometimes I just get so discouraged." Think about it. The life, it knocks us down. It discourages us. Satan is out there telling us all kinds of lies, deceit, and we need to get back to the sincerity of saying, what did God say? What has God told me? What has God commanded me to do? How can I receive all the promises that God wants me to receive? You look at your outline there. Number one, we should give an honest response to the evidence of God. That one, the good soil, the good and noble heart, the noble and honest heart, when we hear the Word of God, do you understand that God loves you? Do you understand that God sent Jesus to save you from your sins? He hasn't left you. God hasn't put you on this planet and say, just try to keep up as it spins over and over again. No, God says, look, I put you here, but the whole purpose of creating you in His image is because He loves you. He wants a relationship with you. He hasn't abandoned you and said, now you're on your own, just kind of figure it out. No. God has revealed Himself. And in His Word, it gives us that anchor. It gives us that solid foundation to build our lives on. Jesus said that the wise man built his house on a rock. There are too many people in this world who think that they're just living for the weekend. They're just kind of living for their own pleasure. They're seeking goals and objectives that are not what God intended. And because of that deception, there are many people who are just flat out lost. They're lost. They're grasping for something that they're never going to find, and we've got to be able to have an honest response to God. Do you understand that because God loves you, He has said Jesus is the way, and unless you confess Christ and put your trust in Him, repent of your sins, and are buried with Him in baptism, you remain lost. When you're raised up out of baptism, you have a new life. The old sins are released. They're forgiven. You've got the lightness of the burden, the lightening of your load. And God then can be able to lead you in a way that causes you to go for that higher ground, to build on that solid rock. Jesus said that the wise man who builds his house on a rock is the one who hears these sayings of mine and does them. Just to hear the sayings of Jesus and say, oh, that sounds great. I love the promises that Jesus makes. Is it an honest response if you don't obey Him? Is it trusting in Jesus if you don't follow Him? If you don't lay down that heavy load and say, I want to be a disciple, I want to be a follower of Jesus Christ, I want to be a Christian. Look there at number 2. Nathanael is commended because he's an Israelite indeed. There's something sincere about Nathanael. Are we a Christian indeed? Are we really what God calls? Jesus said, if you are my disciples, then you will abide in my word. John 8:31. Abide, reside, take up your residence and live according to His word. Jesus said, by this shall all men know that you are my disciples, by your love one for another. John 13:35. John 15:8 says, herein is my Father glorified, in that you bear much fruit. So shall you be my disciples. Abide in my word. Love one another. Bear fruit. These are the tests. Are we a Christian indeed? Heard about a preacher got up before the congregation and said, now next Sunday I'm going to preach on Joshua chapter 25. So everybody read Joshua 25 before next week. The next Sunday he got up and he said, how many of y'all read Joshua 25? Half the congregation raised their hand. He said, well, you're the ones I want to talk to today about honesty because Joshua only has 24 chapters. A Christian indeed. Honest. Sincere with God's word. If God says it, have you done it? The world discourages us. The world says, you don't need to do that. You don't have to listen to what God says. Oh, God loves you anyway. Oh, there are so many different paths that all lead to the same place. Folks, if there is anything that you ought to know by living, or even if you've just been visiting in Sarasota, Florida, not all roads lead to the same place. All right? And you can get lost more ways than I can count if you don't know the path. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. Are we a Christian indeed? Secondly, look with me, turn over to Matthew chapter 11. I didn't put Joe in the position to have to read both of these examples this morning. In Matthew chapter 11, John the Baptist, Jesus' cousin, has been put in jail. And he's got some reservations, maybe some doubts. And so he sends some of his disciples, a couple of his disciples, to Jesus, and they ask the question in verse 3, "Are you the coming one, or do we look for another?" And Jesus gives them very simply, just like Nathanael was honest to consider the evidence, Jesus gives John the simple evidence. He says, "Go and tell John the things which you hear and see. The blind see, the lame walk, the lepers are cleansed, and the deaf hear. The dead are raised up, and the poor have the gospel preached to them. And blessed is he who is not offended because of me." And then, taking that information, they go to tell John. And it says in verse 7, "As they departed, Jesus began to say to the multitudes concerning John, 'What did you go out into the wilderness to see? A reed shaken by the wind? But what did you go out to see? A man clothed in soft garments. Indeed, those who wear soft clothing are in kings' houses. But what did you go out to see? A prophet? Yes, I say to you, and more than a prophet. For this is he of whom it is written, Behold, I send my messenger before your face, who will prepare your way before you. Assuredly, I say to you, among those born of women, there has not arisen one greater than John the Baptist. But he who is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he. From the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven suffers violence, and the violent take it by force. For all the prophets and the law prophesied until John. And if you are willing to receive it, he is Elijah who is to come. He who has ears to hear, let him hear." Look at the compliment of John. The trait of John was service. John was mission-minded. The prophecies back in Isaiah 40 and Malachi 3 and verse 1 and Malachi 4, the very last verses of the Old Testament, talk about this one who would come in the spirit of Elijah. And he would turn the hearts of the fathers to the children and the hearts of the children to the fathers. Understand, there would be something that would bring a spiritual revival. And if you think about John's mission, he came announcing the Messiah. He came telling people they needed to repent. Repentance was at the heart of his message. When the people went out to him in Luke chapter 3, beginning of verse 7, they asked him, "All right, well, what do we do to repent?" And he said, "Well, if you've got 2 tunics, give to somebody who has none. If you've got food, give to him who has no food." The tax collector said, "Well, what shall we do?" He says, "Well, you don't collect any more than what you're supposed to collect." And the soldier said, "Well, what shall we do?" He said, "Well, don't intimidate anybody and be content with your wages." I probably could stop and preach a whole sermon on being content with your wages. All right? Understand that John was telling them, it's your heart. And his service was to say, I don't care whether people like the message or not. Think about John's personality. Jesus says, "What did you go out to see? A reed shaken by the wind?" In other words, was this somebody who was just kind of, they'd preach one thing one day, and then the next day, whichever way the wind blew, they would change and preach something else? No. John the Baptizer was manly. He had courage. He stood up. In fact, the rulers didn't like him when he even told them their sins. He was confrontational. But he was a man's man when it came to having the courage to stand up for the message of God. He wore camel's hair for his coat. He had a leather belt. He ate locusts and wild honey. The honey, I understand. The locusts, not so much. But John, This wilderness kind of fellow. We've got some folks here who like to go out and hunt and fish and like to live off the land. At least I think they'd be okay if they'd been born a couple hundred years earlier. Understand, John was somebody they went out to hear. John didn't go out and just dress all pretty and fancy, and he didn't look like royalty, but his message needed to be heard. He was no reed shaken in the wind. I want you to think about this type of a man and look at the application of John's compliment to what Jesus says, and I believe his disciples heard this and told John what Jesus had said. But number one, repentance is necessary for genuine revival. There was no way that they could understand or be ready for the Messiah if their lives weren't tuned up, weren't turned around, upside down in many ways, to hear that they needed God. They needed to come back to a relationship with God, and that's what repentance is all about, is saying, I need to draw near to the heart of God, and I've been going the wrong direction, and I need to turn around, come back. In studying about the human spine, there are muscles and tendons and ligaments that support the human spine, and when those soft tissues support the spine, it's used like a lever. It can lift great weights. And I'm thankful for it when I'm able to help some of you in moving here and there. You know, when you move from one house to another, to be able to help lift, furniture and move things. And many of you are much stronger than I am, and you're able to lift great things, all right? That back, though, when it's not supported by the muscles and the ligaments and the tendons, do you know that your spine cannot even, it will buckle under the load of just 5 pounds. Some of you know that because you've had back surgery or you've had a hurt back and injured back, and the doctor said, don't lift more than 5 pounds. Without the support of the muscles and the ligaments and the tendons, that back is not able to have any strength. Let me tell you something. The strength of John was his service based on conviction. You know what John said in John 3:30? He must increase, I must decrease. John says, it's not all about me. My place is to serve. Jesus taught his disciples when James and John wanted to sit at the right and the left hand, and he said, hey, look at the Gentiles, how they exercise authority. They lord it over them, and those who are great exercise authority over them. He said, it shall not be so among you. Whoever desires to be great shall be your servant. Service. When we have the conviction that God knows what's best for us, when we have the conviction to know that God has served me, He has given me the opportunity, then we recognize our place and we accept our mission. John was great. He wasn't a reed shaken in the wind. He wasn't just dressed in soft garments. He stood up for what was right. He was given a time and a place and a message, and he announced Jesus. And what I want to ask you is, are we announcing Jesus? We have a mission. And if we're going to be Christians indeed, if we're going to be sincere, like Nathaniel, we're going to be service-minded, mission-minded, like John. Oh, I'm not telling you to put on a leather coat, a camel's coat, camel's hair coat, and a leather belt, and go out and live off locusts and wild honey. What I'm telling you is we need to tell people about Jesus. And in your circle, with your neighbors, with your family, with your friends and coworkers, you have a place that no one else can take your place. No one else can do what you have the opportunity to do, to be great in the service of God. Your place is yours alone. True greatness comes from conviction. It comes from the opportunity to serve where God has placed you, the opportunity that God has given you. Notice what Jesus said there in Matthew 11:11. He says that John the Baptist, of those born of women, he is the greatest. But he who is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he. The greatness of being born again is being born of the water and of the Spirit. Jesus said, unless you are born of the water and the Spirit, you cannot enter the kingdom of God. If you want this relationship, be honest. Be sincere with what the Bible teaches. Recognize your need to repent, to be baptized in the name of Jesus Christ for the remission of sins, and you'll receive the gift of the Holy Spirit. All the promises of God are found in Christ. You can enter Christ today. If you realize that in your life you want to be a Christian indeed, you want to serve the way that God wants you to, you want to announce Christ, you want to be of the same mission that God has given to you, we encourage you to make that decision today. Mary Lincoln was the granddaughter of Abraham Lincoln. She was the owner of a small box that had the possessions that were in the pockets of Abraham Lincoln the night that he was assassinated at Ford's Theater. She gave that, and it's now the possession of the Library of Congress. She donated that to the Library of Congress. But I want you to know one of the things that was in Abraham Lincoln's pocket the night he was assassinated. There was a letter to the editor that Abraham Lincoln had taken out of the paper. He had clipped it and put it in his pocket. And it was a letter to the editor praising President Lincoln for his singleness of purpose. His singleness of purpose. See, even presidents need compliments. The greatest compliment that you can have is the compliment that Jesus would give like he did to Nathanael. That he was an Israelite indeed, in whom there was no deceit. Honest, sincere. The compliment of John, that he was serving his purpose, that he was accomplishing his mission. Today, are you willing to receive the compliment of Jesus? If you need to come, just step to the front. Won't you come right now while we stand and while we sing?